Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here. Virtually in Mendham. Yes, because it's not really in Mendham. And I sort of felt that way today. It was not a good day. You know, moving, new location, stresses and such. So, it's sort of a useful subject, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about it. Just the psychological elements and that whole straw that breaks the camel's back kind of phenomenon that you're probably familiar with. And you don't even realize that you've got a bunch of straws, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I just felt the last straw. My back's broken. Kind of thing just sneaks up on you. And it has to do with this whole determinism thing and this whole idea that, we're puppets on a string. We're reading the script that is written by the deterministic universe doing its fucking bullshit. All the other players being robots and, you inevitably make the move you make. It's like playing chess. Somebody makes the move, you make the counter move. It's all quite mechanical, really. Nothing happens that wasn't a program, wasn't a setup, wasn't a straw put in the bundle of straws. And so anyway, it's an interesting subject, and again, I sort of have attempted to glean something useful from the modern mystic, but he just sits there and pretends that he's just in the wind, and so he in his latest video, made an analogy between your heartbeat and the rest of your existence, as if, again, we having consciousness isn't different in the sense that we can see the change happening. We can see often what we are, what we're doing, and how we're doing it, and make comparisons to other things. So it's much more complicated than a heartbeat, which is the same program just all the time. And all that can happen is the program can get irregular because it breaks, and so it's not as good. Glue gets into the system in some way, some shorts, fatigue, whatever, muscle fatigue, some other kind of mechanism can screw that up. But again, that's all deterministic. How much crap you eat and all the other stuff will decide how much junk gets into the mechanism and how well it works. And obviously with age it deteriorates, and it's all a process. And clearly we're a process, likewise. But it's just a truth that it's a much more complex process, and we can talk about our process as we're processing. I mean, right now my brain is composing all these sentences, making all of this crap, and it's doing it based on years of existing and learning how to speak and learning how to put sentences together and learning to be inmendham. So it's been trained to do it. But that doesn't change the fact that through that process I can reveal my programming. I can put it on display, and we can see where there's errors or defects or mistakes in the assumptions or declarations or statements or descriptions or whatever you want to call them, the opinions. And I can counter somebody else's saying, it doesn't fit this model, it doesn't fit my model, it doesn't, and you end up having an argument, and the point of the argument is to have an argument about something real, not something irrelevant or useless, some valid point that's relevant to the conversation, all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'll read some comments because they're always stupid. They always miss the point that was clearly stated. They always misparaphrase what the discussion is about. You can always go back to, like, the first one of these comments says, the first comment, please respond to this video which shows Ben Shapiro arguing for anti-abortion. He is just a fucking retard. Yeah, well, clearly people don't pay any attention to the arguments. I mean, you can make so many rock solid arguments just on, free thought arguments, freedom of religion, freedom from religion. What the hell? Anyway, where you can just make a clear argument that the only thing that makes people think there's something about these fetuses is usually a religious bullshit. Not always. I said always, I mean often. It's just their religion, and they're not allowed to impose their religion on us. We already decided that's bullshit. So it's clearly a violation of the Constitution to tell me I have to accept your opinion that's based on your belief in some religious notion of spirits and souls and all that crap. I don't have to believe in any of that shit. So the only argument you have is that it's the welfare of this being that needs to be taken care of. And then I can make just a rational argument that, well, you don't want to take care of the mice you're doing laboratory experiments on. You're torturing fully sentient organism, fully developed brain, working brain. Yes, it doesn't know how to add 2 plus 2, but either does a fetus. So as just a feeling organism, something that has earned empathy, respect for its feeling capacity, clearly you have this idiotic duplicity of claiming fetuses are important, but a monkey's fetus isn't, or a fully grown chimpanzee isn't. You can inject him with cancer. Bullshit. I mean, it's just an obvious bullshit argument. So they don't have one. So until you rescue all the animals that we slaughter for food, until you rescue all the animals in laboratories being experimented on, you have no business rescuing fucking fetuses. And no business doing it, making a declaration that you're going to tell other people what they have to believe, that they have to be hypocrites like you. No, they don't. And our Constitution is supposed to protect us from that kind of crap. But I'm just saying, you can go on and on and on and make all these valid arguments. They don't have any, there's no comeback. They don't have any, they can't respond to what you actually say, so they can only argue what you didn't say. Make some silly argument. But it's just going to be a silly one. It's going to be irrational. It's not going to be made out of facts. And that's all there is. And so all you can say is what's the point? People are either give a shit about the truth and being honest, or they don't. And only a dishonest asswipe looking for rationalizations can make these kind of dumbass remarks. So, which brings up the second remark, which is just another dumbass remark, where don't even pay attention to the subject. So it's a dumbo's dream. Oh, I don't know, man, if we're not meant to digest meat, now, the argument was clearly raw meat. So the other guy made the point that somehow we evolved to eat meat. My argument was, well, evolution's a slow process. I don't think human beings have substantially evolved in 20,000 years in any kind of dramatic way. That is, it's not part of the life and death struggle eating meat. Lots of human beings probably could go back through their lineage, and they would actually have ancestors that have never eaten meat. Probably in India, there's people who can do that. They've all been vegetarians. Probably in some Asian parts of Asia, it's probably like that also. And none of their ancestors ever ate meat. It's probably a fact. Or it was just a tiny, tiny percentage of their diet. Like most of the South American Indians, for example, the native tribes you can still find. Most of those native tribes do not live on meat. They live 90% on some sort of mashed tuber or grain or something, some kind of bread. Whether it's in a goo form or in some other form, it's some sort of vegetable protein. Smashed up bushes, smashed up tubers, smashed up something. And that's what people live on. And that's what people have lived on. The first tools made by human beings were grass cutting tools. because we ate seeds. Just a fact. So the argument is about what we're evolved to do and whether there's some physical necessity to eat meat. Like somehow we just have evolved to do it and we can't somehow change our evolution, can't change these habits. When, of course, we can change easily. We're very adaptive, so we can eat lots of things. Now, to eat potatoes, for example, I don't think anybody eats raw potatoes. You cook them, and they taste better. Lots of things taste better when they're cooked, including raw meat. So it's just like any other thing. It can taste better when it's cooked, when it's processed. Nothing's spectacular in that fact by itself. So anyway, the point is this comment just ignores the argument. The argument was clearly about evolution and raw meat. That we're not physically, we haven't been eating meat for thousands or millions, well thousands, for millions of years. We haven't been eating meat for hundreds of millions of years. Our ancestors were not meat eaters. That's why our teeth are the way they are. You know, it's just ludicrous to make the argument that we have any of the tools necessary for chasing down flesh-bearing organisms and eating their flesh. The only thing we can catch, as I stated directly in the video, is insects. We can catch earthworms pretty good, but most flesh-bearing organisms, you know, substantial flesh of some kind, we can't catch them. Can't jump into the ocean and grab fish and stuff. It just ain't going to happen. We don't have any of the tools necessary natively. We're clearly not carnivores, clearly. And there's clearly no dependency on anyone eating meat. You can live perfectly well without ever touching it. And all organisms, many organisms, don't produce certain vitamins because those vitamins are so rich in the environment, B12 being one of those, for example. Just having dirty food, natural food, pollen, I mean, it's all over the place. Okay, it's made by all kinds of microorganisms, and they shit it over everything. So it's only because of our sanitation and other things that we have become vulnerable to a deficiency. And part of the reason why meat takes care of that is obviously because other mammals need the same nutrients we need, which goes back to the abortion argument in the sense that we're more alike the other mammals than we are different, and clearly in terms of what our capacity to feel is the same. So anyway, back to this asshole. So if we're not meant to digest meat, so again, raw meat, okay, your body doesn't do well, can't do much with it. The protein just goes right through you. It's like a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, they talk about how many calories are in a McDonald's hamburger, but the truth is you don't even digest half of them because they're not in a form your body can digest. We naturally wouldn't like it as an animal species. Well, that's exactly my point. You naturally don't like raw meat. 99.9% of human beings do not find raw meat tasty. It's just a fact. Right? They don't necessarily find it horrid or repulsive, but they don't seek it out. It would only be consumed and liked by the few. So again, it's like saying potatoes would only be liked by the few if you didn't cook them, and that's a truth. Lots of things need to be cooked to become, it breaks them down. It's like pre-chewing them in a way. Cooking partially digests the food for you. Instead of using acid, it uses heat to break the molecules into smaller molecules, and often those smaller molecules are sweet. All over the world. So again, and we know all over the world there's lots of people who have lived their entire lives vegetarian and are perfectly healthy. And any statistics you can find, the statistics basically demonstrate quite overwhelmingly that on average vegetarians live 10 years longer. I mean, you know, you're just irrationally defending a little personal addiction and making justifications for it. I mean, it's pathetic. You're a heroin addict, and instead of saying, I'm a dopey addict, I made some rotten choices, and I have become habituated to something that's just stupid. Instead, you're making excuses and saying, how, oh, it makes me think better, and it makes me dream better, and I'm happier, and I'm this and I'm that, and you're making all this bullshit up when it's just bullshit, just to defend your addiction. You're just making cheap, stupid, ignorant rationalizations to defend stupid behavior. You're looking at this through purely through a biased lens. And biased by what? I used to eat meat, so I know what meat is. I know it's very tasty, blah, 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 blah. And I made the simple realization that I don't need to. There's lots of other stuff I could eat, and I probably should have eaten it much younger. I shouldn't have eaten candy, and I shouldn't have done lots of things. I wish my parents were just a little more aggressive in making sure I wasn't being an asshole. I wish they knew what an asshole was, so they would be better at making sure I wasn't going to be one. But yeah, you know, there's nothing that, you know, I'm not the one that's biased. It seems clear that you're the one desperate to defend something stupid by pretending it's always been that way. For millions of years, we hunted squirrels and ate their raw flesh. When none of that happened, retard. And that's fine, whatever. Well, I don't consider it fine ever. And again, your comment is so fucking insulting in the sense that you can't even paraphrase my argument correctly when I made it very clear I was talking about evolution and raw meat. But it couldn't be more inaccurate. No, I was perfectly accurate. You're the one perfectly inaccurate. You haven't accurately paraphrased my argument. You haven't accurately responded to the exact things I was saying, which is evolution. We don't evolve dependencies that quickly. You can't just in a few generations evolve into a dependency. Now, there is a tribe in North Russia, I think, they just eat reindeer because that's all there is. And somebody brought up Eskimos, and Eskimos eat blubber. Yeah, they've adapted to eat it, but there's nothing, right? When the Eskimos found out they can eat all this other stuff, there's food in the rest of the world, you know, where, you know, there's more stuff to eat because they didn't really have Eskimos don't have a choice. It's snow or you have to eat something that comes out of the water. And apparently ice fishing doesn't seem very practical. So they do a lot of seal and any animal they can get, actually. And they eat what they can get. They're survivalists, so they eat what they can. But clearly, as soon as they are introduced to civilization, they didn't all say, oh yeah, let's stay being, you know, stuck in this narrow niche. No, they said, yeah, I'll try one of those potato chips. And they liked them. So let's not pretend they were doing anything but survival. Okay, they weren't thriving, you know, in any real sense, and they're living in a brutal environment, and they adapted because we're adaptable. But there's clearly no dependency. Their children are just as capable of eating a potato chip as we are. They're just as capable of eating an apple or an orange or anything else. It's not poisonous to them. So this is just an idiotic argument. So more. Now we can argue whether meat consumption is the right or wrong thing to do. Well, that wasn't, again, the argument. That's clearly already been argued 4 million times. The only person it can be right to is somebody who's a selfish cunt who thinks they're worth it. I'm worth torturing an animal. I'm worth causing pain and suffering. Well, I don't think you are. But that is a completely different discussion. It really isn't. It's related to this one because the excuse made by most of the meat eaters is they have to eat meat. Somehow they'll die if they don't eat it, or they won't be comfortable, or they won't thrive, or they can't do any of those things if they don't eat meat, if they don't satisfy their habitual habit. And that's all it is a habit. It has nothing to do with your biology. It only has to do with the fact that you were introduced to something and you became addicted to it and you eat too much of it, or any of it at all. Again, I don't think potato chips are too good for people, and I don't think candy's good for people. Lots of things aren't good to people that are tasty and yummy. It's just a fact. It'd be better if it wasn't introduced. It'd be better if it didn't exist. But it does. And, you know, I could argue that alcohol is just a menace. People enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it's good for them. But I'm sure that'll cause a whole nother discussion where people make all kinds of excuses. That, oh, no, it helps clean your arteries and does this. Yeah, no, it doesn't. If you don't make your arteries dirty in the first place, you don't need alcohol to clean them. But it certainly doesn't do your brain cells any good and lots of other things. So it's just horse shit. Alright, blah blah, inmendham would be a badass metal name, who cares? Okay, it's your opinion. So that's a brilliant remark. The Indonesia videos, real Einstein show for that one. What is this dire straits shit? So, I don't know. I mean, maybe that was a clip in the video. Dire Straits had a pretty good evolution video, I think. I think it was Dire Straits. Shut your bullshit, the Indonesia video. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. They're just saying, wow, that's brilliant. Not really. So we'll just block that guy. I think Silence of the Lambs was a great movie. I think the psychotic character was pretty interesting. So I really don't mind the comparison, frankly. It is difficult to believe in the dreadful but quiet war lurking just below the serene facade of nature. Charles Darwin. Yeah, well, Darwin said lots of things. You can quote lots of stuff, and some of it was just plain stupid. In the sense that he thought the war made sense in some respects. He himself had, whatever, 6 kids or something. He was very upset when one of the ones he really cherished died, and that did change him. And who knows what he was at the end, you know, in terms of an overview of the whole sick, horrid process, especially after he got infected with a bunch of parasites in South America that pretty much ruined the rest of his life. But, you know, you know, I mean, it's even in that statement, it is difficult to believe in the dreadful but quiet war. It's not that difficult, because you do get to see the little battle scenes now and then. Yes, it's like you could say the green fields that the British, you know, had their war on with the Americans, and, you know, the Revolutionary War, or even the Civil War. Beautiful places to have war, and beautiful most of the time, except for the day they were warring. Not so beautiful. So clearly it's pretty easy to look under nature's dress and see that skanky cunt. Doesn't take much work, especially now. They got camera guys out there all the time videoing all the horror, all the parasites, all the malicious ways bugs, you know, abuse each other. So not so hard to see, and people don't care. Simple. They're too caught up in their little addictions, too caught up going meat yum yum, and not understanding why their body says yum yum, why their brain says I must win, why they have to fucking create inane rationalizations and defenses for their silly existence, and their existence is preposterously silly. Most humans are a physical wreck and are dependent on some kind of mood-altering substances to keep them in the game at all, and they're pretending they're winning. I mean, they're so delusional. Michael Bolton. Well, this might be your last comment. It's too stupid. 2 + 2 = 5 for significantly large values of 2. I don't know. You don't know what a 2 is, huh? You think it's 2 is 2.5, or you think it's 2.7 or something? What, it's too fucking stupid? I mean, what are you, too fucking stupid? The argument isn't 2 plus 2.7. I mean, just fucking, eat shit and die, fuckhead. I mean, this is what I mean. I mean, the argument's pretty simple, right? I mean, making simple arguments. You can accurately describe something or inaccurately describe something. And you want to play retarded games to pretend the truth isn't the truth. And that's all you're saying to me. I want to fuck the facts to make them add up to what I want them to add up to. And it's just horseshit. So anyway, so I guess get back to some of the personal shit. As I sort of indicated, today wasn't a good day, and part of it was mood, because I got up and I try to go for a run on the good days early. There's people about, but I wasn't very comfortable, and so it wasn't. I was kind of anxious and uncomfortable, and so I didn't enjoy it much, and that sort of put me on edge. And then, I just didn't feel myself. Felt off. And so then I went through the day, work projects to do, this and that, but this whole living with somebody thing is very challenging for me. I didn't like living with my own family, and I really hate living with somebody who's not even my own family. And I just never appealed to me, and I always liked being alone most of the time anyway. I mean, I like my own company more than I like other people. I guess it comes down to that. Other people are just a conflict. I don't see they don't give you much, It's not like they know how to do anything better than me in most cases. Certainly there are cases, and the problem is in those cases is the person who might be able to teach you something or know some tricks or know something. They're too busy doing their thing to take the time to educate you, so you're out of luck anyway. But anyway, it's just this idea that people have their own neuroses, their own what's important, and this thing is sort of a generic chick thing, where they're just too obsessed with their vacuum cleaners and their dust molecules and spiders and other stuff. I'm not saying you should live with bugs. I'm not saying you should accept having even one cockroach. Yes, no. Annihilate them as quickly as possible and do whatever you have to do. Blah, 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 blah. But it's the excess. It's not like they have to set one mousetrap. They got to set 500. Bad example, because this person doesn't do that, but it's just the little minutia bullshit, and they don't see any big picture stuff. So it's like you make it perfect here in this quarter, right? And so everything has to be perfect there, and then and then all these other quarters are a mess, and you're just saying, how can you not see that? That there's no point in going to all this work to make this perfect when you haven't done anything to fix any of the stuff right next to it. I mean, there's got to be a context, and it's like they don't see the context. They just see what they're obsessed with. And it's just getting on my nerves. I mean, it's, everything has to be done their way, and it's, and you're, take twice as long to do it, to do stuff that just couldn't possibly matter. I mean, I've come up with lots of analogies, I suppose. It's just, sweeping a dirt floor kind of thing. It just doesn't make any sense. It just stirs up more dirt. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, so that's the kind of thing that just, today is like one of those little things snapped, because it's, for the last month I've had to do all this bullshit, all these rituals. Take your shoes off, do this, do that, don't touch this, don't do that, don't do this, that. And I'm saying, okay, it's not my house, I live by their rules, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, no. I mean, this isn't living. It's being a slave to somebody else's neuroses, and it's just like there's a point where, yeah, I'll compromise, but I can't be a slave, to this bullshit. I need some place that's mine. So anyway, so that's how I was feeling. It's like this basement isn't too bad, but it's too fucking cold here. I can't live in this basement. It just doesn't work. So I gotta get some space that, got a temperature above fucking 65 degrees. It's all just those little things. But you sit here and you're analyzing yourself and you're saying, well, what? It's not that big a deal. The thing that was the last straw is just a straw. And you're just saying, how can this one little straw mean anything? I mean, it's just one straw. Get over it. And it's like part of your brain just says, no, I don't want to get over it. I'm hanging on it. And it somehow represents more than just that one straw, because it's the straw that you just can't take any more straws. And so anyway, it's that kind of feeling. And you're just saying to yourself, like, well, can't you just find a way, make room for it? You can do it. Just get past it. And you have to do it. The idea of moving somewhere else again, I'd rather die. So I'm sort of stuck here, or I'm stuck dying now too, because it did appeal to me an awful lot today. The whole idea of just get the hell out of here. Because you're just not going to be happy. You're not going to be comfortable. I'm never going to have what I had, and that's so depressing. Because I didn't have that much. I really didn't. But what I had, was mine, and it was my bit of control in life. Was to have freedom from people, to have space. And even in my old location, that was, in a sense doomed, because things were going to change. And even things that already changed, and that a bunch of out-of-towners were coming into the park, and 15 kids and 43 dogs and all kinds of bullshit, and it just wasn't the same. And then you had the bears and the deers and the Lyme disease, and fuck it. So I was doomed anyway. I can sort of think of it that way to make it a little easier to take, the forced change. But yeah, it's just dismal. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I could go into with how the whole system works in terms of expenses, and well, anyway, it just sucks. So it's not a good day, and so I hope I'll just start over tomorrow and see if I have a little stronger back, and I can take some more straws and just find a way to get through this messy period. But yeah, it's like I haven't wasted much time being depressed through this whole mechanism of change. I've been pretty good at seeding my brain, knowing that I have to keep myself. I just can't stop and freeze. I have to keep moving, or I'm doomed. So I have to play with it. I have to try to go with the flow, kind of thing, all that kind of crap. So those kind of thought memes have been in my head to just keep me busy, keep me connected. So that's part of the thing, is though to stay busy, you have to stay interested. You sort of have to see that this is an investment in your life. That you're investing in something that's yours in a way. And today was just where you got that feeling that none of this is ever going to be mine. I mean, none of it's going to be mine. It's like, I don't know of too many artists that have ever tried to paint with somebody else. Like, one person paints half and the other person paints half, and they paint half and the other person, dual painting. because yeah, you can just see how the conflict would come up. You know, where you just fucked up what I did. I mean, I did something pretty cool there that was just, you know, made that edge and there was good contrast, and you just fucked it. You made it sloppy and ugly. You know, it's that kind of thing. And that conflict is something I haven't had to deal with. You know, I've only had visitors in my house. I haven't had to live with anyone. And, you know, it was a real blessing, I was lucky to be able to live so long unencumbered by pollution, by other people's bullshit. So anyway, and they are just so full of shit. So anyway, back to the comments, I guess. Yeah, so a little break. I don't need to think I need to say anything. I'm just, you know, I'm not resolute about anything. I just felt like dying. You know, I just felt like, oh, it's the only hope. Is I just can't, it's just hard to imagine just living as a drone to somebody else's fucking neuroses. It's just, no, I don't want to do that. Alright, anyway, so Nikki Daisy Redwoody thingy. Anyway, horrible screen name. But anyway, so nice comment, but I'm going to shit all over it because that's, you know, I'm sorry. People just, I'm sorry that sometimes that's all I have. I really don't do the touchy, lovey, feely, connecting thingy very well. And again, partially because knowing people is a huge liability. Because you know them, then you're going to care about them, and then things are going to happen to them, and they're going to be unpleasant and nasty, and then it's just going to be depressing. I mean, there's just no... The upside is hard for me to see, because I'm not a misery loves company person. I don't need somebody to talk to and all that kind of crap. It really doesn't help. Yeah. Anyway, you have compassion, which is real love. Even compassion, again, as I've pointed out, sometimes my compassion is it's a very selfish mechanism. My compassion is, I imagine myself going through what they're going through and say, holy shit, that would suck. And so my compassion is mainly made out of, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, or I'm afraid it's going to happen to me, or something like that. And so, in a way, if I'm rescuing somebody, part of me is rescuing them because I'm realizing that if that happened to me, I'd want somebody to rescue me, or that kind of thing. It's not even a... I mean, I wish there was. I had more of a capacity to do things more sincerely. But I have to admit that most of the horror I see, I'm feeling the horror by imagining it affecting me. Alright, that in itself is a warm inner feeling. Yeah, I don't know what that is now. Yeah, my brain just turned warm inner feeling into something to do with vaginas and penises. I just don't do this warm inner feeling crap. Just don't do it. I'm not saying that is real love. Well, you sort of did. You said it was real love, and then you say it's not real love. Whatever. Ability justifies existence. Yeah, I don't think there is. Whatever that is, I don't think that would justify existence. Whatever real love is, because frankly, again, my understanding of real love always ends up being something about how good she looks or how hot she is and all that kind of crap, and you know, the rest of it's just some kind of respect thing, like where you care about somebody, you worry for them, you have attached yourself to them through exposure, and you know, and you feel responsible in some way for their welfare through that connection. It's almost obligatory. I mean, put it in a negative way. like it's almost like having a pet, right? Having a friend is like having a pet. It's like something you have to take care of. Nothing justifies existence because, as Benatar says, no suffering is justified by any amount of good feelings later on. Yeah, I don't know whether that's true in that statement in itself. I mean, I might argue that nothing's justifiable in terms of the negatives because you can't really undo them. You can just replace, you can just barter, you know, with some other negative undone, you know. So it's always some sort of foolish exchange, and it's always this pretend thing, like where you spill the milk, you clean up half of it, and somebody pays you to clean up half of it, and you get $50. And then maybe you spend the $50 to pay somebody else to clean up the other half. I mean, there's something very broken in the equation. Alright, those who are already existing and who have that love ability and the compassion, you and all animal rights activists. Yeah, thank you. You know, so again, I just don't want to be dishonest about my compassion. I'm not saying there aren't some. I see some of it too is so, you know, little cute kitty, little cute thing. Sometimes it just depends on, you know, it has some little appeal thing that triggers, you know, more of a response than less of a response. And I intellectually know, you know, to even bring up something like laboratory rats and mice now and then just because they deserve it. And most people don't consider them cute, or I don't even know how they don't think they're interesting. I mean, as organisms, they're incredibly interesting. They're so active and so engaged, you know, and so smart for, you know, never going to school. Anyway, they are making things better in the world we live in. Well, I don't know. You know, such a marginal better compared to the spilt milk. You know, it's such a tablespoon in an ocean that it's hard to feel excited. I mean, the tablespoon, when you look at it with a little magnifier, okay, it's a something. But again, once you see it next to the reality, it's sort of deflating. You know, it just is. You know, it's just doesn't do you much good. So what pops into my head is porno films with guys with 12-inch dicks. Never made me feel very good. You know, I don't get why people want to watch that shit. It's like, oh yeah, I want to feel inferior. No, I really don't want to. Anyway, that is something to be very grateful for. Yeah, no, sorry. Good video. No, it was a good video, but I'm sure. But not for the reasons you think so. Yeah, I don't know. Partially yes, but you know, probably no. Alright, so this one I can relate to. I really want to kill myself now, but if I decide, I'll take this is getting low. I'll take a bunch of douchebags with me, including a few corrupted and oppressive cops. Probably shouldn't make that a public comment. Yeah. You know, even as a thought crime, you could get in trouble for that one. You know, they're just so paranoid. So it's not a great idea. I'll concede the basic argument that I've made is that it does amaze me that most of these psycho killers can't pick better targets. I mean, shit. There's so many people that deserve it, and they seem to always pick targets that don't. And that's depressing. You know, so when they finally decide to clean up, they don't seem to know what dirt is. It's like, man, it's just so stupid. So anyway, but no, violence is not the way. persuasion, talking, explaining. That's the only valid weapon we have. You know, and you know, I mean, I've conceded that if there was a red button and I could just blow up something, you know, the whole world, and make it done and finish it, I'd finish it. But that little teaspoon of blood won't fix the problem. It's going to take the harder job of doing this, trying to make reasoned arguments explaining why people have it wrong, and why they have to appreciate the mess they're creating and the mayhem they're causing, feeling things to have to experience. So, Budzio. Hey Gary, we spoke briefly on Skype a few years ago. It was during part of a discussion about free will with George Ortega and others. And yeah, it turned out to be religious kooks, really. Anyway, big fan of your videos, but disagree with you on punishment. So there's no possibility for disagreement, frankly. There just isn't. Punishment works as a deterrent. I mean, I know it personally. I know it personally works on me. So it's just idiotic for you to be telling me we disagree. What do you disagree about? You think I wouldn't go on murdering mayhem thingies if there was no punishment for it? You don't think I would be doing justice all over the place, cleaning up the mess? You don't think I would put on my little white hat and Long Ranger and, you know, kill all the bad Indians? What do you think, you idiot? It's just so fucking stupid. So anyway, there's no disagreement possible. Anyway, rewards and punishment can only get you one thing: temporary compliance. You mean a temporary compliance that lasts forever? When does it wear out, this compliance? I've been compliant for 60 years. You think I'm going to stop being compliant all of a sudden or something? What's your theory? It's a stupid theory. It's almost like the guy's previous comment is sort of just screaming to you the truth. Well, if I'm going to die anyway, I might as well take somebody with me. Okay, that kind of thing. So they'll commit the crime when there's no possibility of being punished because they've eliminated their punishability. They've removed themselves from the punishable list. You're not getting... That's why he doesn't do it right now, is because he's not going to go out with it. I mean, it's just too fucking stupid. Okay. If I show up at your door with a baseball bat and ask you to take your shoes off, you'll probably take your shoes off. So you think that's an analogy? Huh? Yeah, I mean, we all do things. If I raise the price of... If society raises the price of cigarettes, then I'll smoke this instead. Yeah, it'll change my behavior. Fuck. Duh. Alright, if I offer you $1,000, you'd probably take your shoes off. Either way, I'm probably going to take my shoes. Yes, you're either a psycho killer. Well, I don't know. If you offer me $1,000, I'm going to figure you're retarded and I can't take the money anyway because you're fucking retarded and I can't steal from a retard. Alright. Rewards like punishment can get people to do things. Yeah, exactly. Duh. Reward and punishment works. It's how rationality, that's how our whole reasoning brain works. That's how we learn, you idiot, is reward and punishment. Feels good to get the right answer, feels bad to get the wrong answer. I mean, shit, you're stupid. Alright, anyway. We call them consequences so we don't feel bad about making other people feel bad. No, you can feel all as bad as you want. I'm saying I feel plenty bad about the people in prison being in prison. I don't like that they'd have to be tormented and irritated and have a bad day and all that crap. But there's no solution. There's lots of people who are mentally ill who are in prison. Now, but the point is that they're an example to the people who aren't mentally ill what will happen to you if you do stupid things. I mean, fuck. But what rewards and punishments can never do is help people develop a commitment to a given behavior, because it doesn't get at the needs, motives, reasons, and values that underlie our behavior. It does, in a way. It's a concession to the fact that we don't agree on anything, shithead, on this planet. We will war with each other. People are nepotistic. That means their kids are more important than other people's kids. People are selfish, just as the basic mechanism. And we won't play fair. We won't do the right thing. We won't do any of that shit. So this is all just such baby talk. Because you can't really point to me to anybody who can live the life of a perfect, unselfish. The unselfish life just doesn't exist. And you're just pretending to think that that's all it takes, is some sort of, oh, you have a philosophy, therefore you are a beautiful, wonderful human being. No, it just doesn't work that way. As I stated, you can't act on a philosophy unless you feel it. And a lot of this stuff you can't personally feel. So you're out of luck anyway. I think if if a retard kills your mother or your sister, does some brutal, horrible thing to them, it doesn't matter if you intellectually know, oh, well, he's just retarded, blah, 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 blah. It's just not gonna fix it. I'm not saying you'll act and say you want revenge. I'm just saying it's not gonna be at all satisfying. I think if we accept the no free will argument, then it follows that we should be concentrating on what our prior causes created the problem behaviors we see, rather than trying to punish someone after the fact. Well, again, most of the acts I would commit, if liberated, if I had the freedom to commit them, aren't bad acts. They're good acts, but they're unsocial. And the whole point is that everybody has license to go out and do what they think the world needs. Those understandings will be in tremendous conflict, and you'll just have war. It won't work. You can't do it that way. So we all need to put our altruism in check. We can't do the right thing. We can't do what we think needs to be done, because we understand that other people are going to think the thing that needs to be done is fetuses need to be protected or some other kind of thing, and they'll blow up abortion clinics. So we know we're not at liberty to be actualized into doing the right thing, understanding. So again, if somebody understands the truth as you claim, then they'll understand that, well, animals are being tortured in laboratories right now, and they should be liberated. The torture should stop. They should be, humanely, gracefully exited, and their pain and suffering should be stopped. And you're stopping torture, so it's okay to kill some people to do that. That would be the right thing to do. So how do you explain how that works socially? It won't work socially. Understanding the truth does not make you passive, does not make you compliant to a Borg, does not make you say, I'm not going to act on anything. It just doesn't. The only thing it does is respect for the fact that, it's necessary. So yes, if you're saying that if we teach everybody that their civil responsibilities, and they have some respect for civil responsibilities, yes, that could prevent a lot of crime. But we know, like even cultures like Asia, what really works is guilt. So any act you commit gets pushed on your brother and your sister and your mother and your father and your ancestors, all get shamed by your actions. So it's not a real punishment in the sense that you're not throwing somebody in jail, but it is psychological punishment. I mean, this is just a bullshit. Like I said, it's clearly we have to be incentivized not to act, or we'll act in ways that will conflict with each other. Unless everybody has exactly the same philosophical perspective. But I said, even then, just in the little wheels and deals of life, we cut corners, we cheat to get the shit we want. And it's just not going to work. Anyway, we see, rather than trying to punish someone after the fact, well, the only time the punishment will have any effect, obviously you can't punish them before the fact, so you have to punish them after. And as long as you punish the guilty, then that's a good idea. I mean, that'll send the message. Being guilty might get you punished. And that's what you need to prevent us from acting. Countries with low crime rates often have more comfortable prison systems. Prove that. I mean, it just sounds like absolute rubbish to me. Insane rubbish, crazy rubbish. If that type of deterrence worked, I don't think we'd see that. Well, I don't think that's a fact. So clearly there's countries where in some ways you're not allowed to commit a crime because there's so much prevention worked on. So I'm not arguing that we shouldn't do anything to prevent crime through public education and all that kind of stuff. Clearly other countries, I mean, aren't, generally speaking, a lot of other countries don't have the racial diversity this country has, doesn't have the extreme inequities in terms of wealth and poverty. So there's a lot of reasons why we're more susceptible to crime. Clearly we live in these stupid urban environments, 600 houses on 4 acres, so we are clearly creating the tension that has as its consequence people snapping, having their last straw thing happen. A lot of our crime is based on how the society is organized. So, nothing to do with the prisons. But I'm sure that most people even don't want to go to a nice prison. They still don't want to go to prison. So anyway, low crime rate, okay, anyway. It's the same for harsher punishments like the death penalty. So now, frankly, what is interesting is that a lot of psycho killers don't like the death penalty. I mean, they're afraid to be killed because they have such an inflated and grandized ego. They think they're immortals. They think they're so far above the rest of us, all that kind of crap. So they're really afraid of dying. So it's actually, probably a pretty good deterrent for the real crazy fucks. Obviously, it wouldn't mean anything to people like me. I mean, I'd much rather die than spend 50 years in prison. So yeah, kill me fast. The fact that they slowly give people the death penalty, yeah, that sort of sucks. But the good news is death row is so much better than real prison. So it's like I'd almost prefer that. If it worked as a deterrent, then states with the death penalty would have higher murder rates. So again, you think all the states are the same, the people's education level is the same, people's employment is the same, people's way of life is the same in all the states, and the only thing we change is how people are punished or whether or not there's a death penalty. That's really, not thinking very hard. It's like when they make these idiotic statistics about smoking, and they don't take into account that smokers also drink more, drive faster, that they have lots of other habits, and those habits are contributors to their early demise. Unfortunately, I can't find a video, but it specifically talked about deterrence not really working for controlling behavior that well. And I'm just saying it's the most ludicrous thing you could possibly say. It's as dumb as these idiots saying that we evolved to eat meat. It's just fucking retarded. It works for every organism, every kind of animal. All I have to do is create a reward and punishment system, and they'll be completely compliant. to that reward and punishment. They'll do whatever I fucking reward them for, and whatever I punish them, they won't do. You're just being a fucking idiot. It was a roundtable discussion between a few professionals on the subject. Professional what? Lunatics, crazy people, silly. I was going to say the F word. Silly, deluded, phantasmagorical, disconnected retards. I'm just sorry. I mean, okay, I understand. You don't like punishing mentally ill people. It's the only thing there is to punish. You have to punish the guilty. You have the ones that commit the crime. If you punish people who didn't commit the crime, well, then it won't work as deterrence. So you don't have a choice. And the criminals are usually stupid and ignorant and psychotic and lots of things. And that's tragic. But it's just a fact that there's so many tools we have shit for brain. Again, unless you think everybody's going to vote for Borg and all the kids are raised exactly the same and they're programmed quite deliberately. They're rewarded and punished for any kind of thoughts, of individuality and thoughts of me first or anything like that. Just isn't that easy to create civilized human beings. Look around you. I mean, it's almost, I made a little space so I can, I actually want to make a video from the front yard. And, it's a little porch, nice. But I can watch the world go by, which I haven't lived on a street in 40 years, 50. So it's very interesting to watch. And you're just watching, people are just so fucking idiotic. I mean, they go by in their car with the music way, way, way too loud, insane. And you're saying, what is this asshole thinking? I mean, he actually thinks I want to listen to this fuck you nigger rap music. I mean, it's just, they just saying nigger, nigger, over and over and over again. And, you're just like, what are you saying to me? Except you're a nigger. I mean, you're just proving it. You have no respect for anything. You can't figure out that, hey, I shouldn't be imposing on other people like this. I shouldn't be, like, pointing my dick and pissing all over the place. What the fuck is that? So you don't think we need reward and punishment in this insane world where people are being raised to be fucking, they're no better than animals. I mean, they're better in that they're wearing $300 sneakers. But that's about all the difference there is. Fuck. Anyway. Discussion professionals. Anyway, I'll keep searching to post it here. Oh, I'm just too fucking excited. There is also a great author and speaker called Alf Kohan, who talks about the problems with rewards. Well, that's even more insane. What do you... This is just... You just don't see how insane this is. I mean, it's one of the most fundamental mechanisms of logic is being obedient to reward and punishment. I mean, only insane people aren't obedient to reward and punishment. Retards. You have to be fucking retarded not to get reward and punishment as a habituating mechanism. I hope that at some point you or anyone has the time to read and respond to this comment. Oh, you got that anyway. These thoughts aren't set in stone. Well, that's okay, I guess. I mean, the way you're preaching it, it sounds a little bit stony, but whatever. And are open to being changed and such. I just don't know why it wouldn't occur to you on your own that seems a rather extraordinary claim, that somehow reward and punishment is bad, when it's the only way all the organisms that have a brain are completely owned by it. that's what they do. They do what feels good, and they don't do what feels bad. I mean, shit. It's just not complicated. Alright. Monopoly. I don't know what that means, but whatever. 29 something is very potent, and why suicide in general is usually the best solution in the end. Well, it's not even in the end. It's obviously going to be your end. But that is the trick, is when's the right time to go. And I guess I'd argue if you're just doing frivolous little poopy shit, then yeah, any time now is fine. But yeah, being able to understand whether you're important in some way, that's the tricky part. Do I have some value? You know, the bullet's still in the gun that I haven't fired. You know, that's the tricky part. At least when all is lost or truly hopeless. Yeah, well, even when you're hopeful, those hopes are, you know, you can understand, first off, you're not going to know the difference once you're dead. You're not going to miss, oh, I forgot to do what I hoped to do. You know, I didn't satisfy my hope list. It's just this addiction mechanism, and it's just hard to let it go. I mean, it's a reward and punishment. Your brain rewards you for this optimism thing. Life is a terrible game. That's the part to understand. And prevention is easy. Fixing it is hard. Cleaning it up is hard. Not starting the steamroller is easy. Cleaning up the mess it makes, that's tough. I know Gary is skeptical of E.M. Koran. Skeptical isn't the right word. I just don't think his logic is well rooted in the core problem, which is in the creation of a need machine. But I highly recommend his book, A Short History of Decay. So again, more conversation as if we decayed, like somehow in the natural state we were winning. You don't see how that's so fucking illogical? You know, when, you know, 80% or 90% of your kids died right in front of your face. That was a better life, where you were completely owned by the roles you had to play. Women had to die in pregnancy and childbirth. They had to endure this. They had to, no morphine, no. I mean, how can any idiot think we decayed into something? We were born decayed, and we've used technology to clean up some of the horror and pretty us up a little. But we're still, yes, we're still decaying flesh. But it's, you know, it's just such a silly argument, in my opinion, to think that we were ever in the Garden of Eden. No, nowhere even close to that. I also love how Gary proves hedonism and Hindu beliefs don't really solve or truly improve humanity's problems. Well, that's not really the point, but yeah, they clearly don't fix any of the stuff they complain about, which is ironic. They have no solution. They almost perpetuate it by pretending we can't control anything. You know, we can't have a conversation, and a thought can't be provoked to do something to fix the mess. But the real point is they're not making accurate descriptions of reality. They're not describing reality accurately. Modern mystic is a smart. I mean, clearly you can't save the world by saving yourself. Your personal nirvana is not the solution to humanity's problem. That's certainly obvious. Modern mystic is smart, but Gary understands the bigger picture. Well, probably. Gary is a legend. Well, I don't think I can self-declare that, but whatever. Inmendham has a few interesting ideas, not that I always agree, but this is an ineffective way to communicate his points. I think I've already done that. I think I already done it. Videos are way too long and rambling. Well, couldn't have really done it already because it's, unless he posted on some other video. The videos would be more watchable if he would be concise with his points. He should learn how to edit the video. Yeah, I just think that's just such a pile of crap. You're just sort of missing the point. This is the process of making philosophy. You're saying I should have a finished script that is in the form needed to appeal to all the brains in the universe. Now, I've certainly said that's an admirable goal. I'd love to make a skeleton key of words that can be spoken. You know, if I had some boobs and a, you know, there'd be a lot of things that could be helpful in this project. But I don't. And again, a lot of this stuff hasn't. It's a dangerous subject. It's delicate. It's difficult. And you know, this backseat driving stuff is kind of horseshit. So I don't see anybody on this medium that's a screaming success at doing this kind of hard philosophy stuff people don't want to hear. Now, there's lots of pretty girls doing little yoga thingy and quite popular, and they say something kind of spiritual or kind of meaningful or kind of bullshit. But it's just bullshit. And I'm trying to do the truth. And the truth is evolution and lots of subjects that people just don't really care about. And I think they do need to be explained with metaphors and analogies, and you have to go through the whole thing and point out how, no, you're missing the subject, you know, categories. Again, people misparaphrase me constantly. I mean, they can't even follow the least bit along. And you're saying you need less words that are going to help you helpful? Sorry. I'm sorry that you just can't do it this way. You can't absorb information that doesn't come in a scripted form. But yeah, it's not my style. It's not. If I was able to write the script, I probably wouldn't have me present it. Okay, because I'm not a great script reader. So that's just not what my strengths are. It's like I don't really want to be president. You know, I'd like to be the person who tells the president what the fuck to do. You know, I don't need the fame. I don't need the attention. I just want the ideas fought for and implemented. I just couldn't give a shit about anything else. So anyway, this appears to be stuff I've seen before, at least. So I guess it's enough of a video, I think. I believe so. I'm going to say it so. And so again, it's a long video, at least an hour and a half, right? Hour and something. So, yeah, some people say, oh, too long a video. Okay, well, I'm sorry, it's too long a video then. You're not interested. I mean, I can watch an hour and a half movie, and I certainly can watch an hour and a half video. Can't say there's too many people that could make an hour and a half video that I would watch. But, yeah, I just can't think of any, except me. You know, I can watch my videos. I watch them all. And I did them. I already know what's in it, and I can still find it quite interesting. So I'm sorry to the people who don't. Tough. Go somewhere else. Not much I can say. I just don't think you can do this. I don't think you can have this conversation in that form yet. Because again, I've said this before, the problem isn't making a key that, if I could talk to you in person and I could know something about your history, then I might know what trigger words I could use, what mechanisms I could use to break down your barriers, or to make me less threatening, or you know, all the little psychological games to be making the conversation more pleasant for you. But without knowing that, you know, each person is different. Some people find it appealing to hear a little cunt now and skanky cunt. You know, they like it. Other people, oh, big turn off. Fuck. You know, some people, yeah, cool word. Other people, oh no, ruined the whole video. It's ruined now because it has that F word in it. So I don't know what to tell you, right? That's the challenge. Is you're talking to lots of people from different perspectives. They're all sitting in a chair that has different problems. Some people, their chair wobbles. Some people, their chair has tacks in it. Some people, so I'm using analogies, and it takes time to explain the analogies, right? So they have lots of different things that are broken. Or it could be like a car. Everybody comes in, their car's got something else wrong with it. And there's not one tool that fixes all of them. You know, the tool has to be designed for the specific problem, the difficulty in the person understanding. And so you have to sort of build something that you want it to be. You want it to be a key that opens a lot of locks. Okay, that's sort of what you're going for, all of them. But I'm just saying you want something that's generic enough. And clearly, I have to admit that my speech, I probably should take the curse words out because they probably do more harm than good and all this other stuff. There's lots I could do to fix these videos. But what I don't think I can do is talk about this fundamental core of life stuff, subjects like determinism and free will, and you know, the fact that we are just controlled by environments and all this. You can't do that in a 5-minute video, and I think get to people who are lost in their spirituality or lost in some other delusion. You have to get their delusions out of their head first. You have to get the garbage out, okay, before they can do something except garbage out. You know what I mean? You have to physically change the bits in their brain to make it work, to fix the calculator. I don't know how to... And I just think you're delusional to think that somebody can do that in 10-minute videos. I don't see anybody doing it. So you want to show me somebody who's a better example, fine. But I don't think anyone's doing it. Alright, so that's enough now. So, till the next edition, when hopefully... it says, yeah, I'm very depressed, and I'm really irritated. But I have, you know, mentally, the little wheels have turned and said, you really can't be this, and you can't do this, and you can't get lost in that, and you can't just wallow in it, you can't da-da-da. So I'm fighting it in this little quiet struggle inside of me to try to find some peace and some way of just doing what I need to do, function, without being distracted by how much I'm irritated. You know, how irritated I am. It's like ignoring a mosquito bite or something. It's just, it's irritating to have to get past your irritation. You know, to pretend I'm not irritated. It's irritating pretending not to be irritated.